What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to Site B Media. It is so good to be back with y'all again. I feel like it has been forever, which it kind of has been forever. It's been like almost 5 months, I think, since I've had a microphone and have been able to make a video like this. Partially my fault, but we won't get into that. I decided to move across the ocean, 4,000 miles from my house in Minnesota, so that's kind of on me at this point. But yeah, I'm so happy to be back. Survived a little bit of a scary situation this last week, or week and a half, I should say. Since moving to Hawaii, been having a lot of fun and doing a lot with work and stuff, but of course, when you move to a tropical place, therefore comes the territory, which is hurricanes. And we are in a super El Nino right now, which means that the Pacific Ocean is incredibly hot. Actually more hot than it really should be. And it's going to get hotter. So, yeah, we've been dealing with a lot of tropical weather. So much so that I was displaced for a few days, had to hang out in a hotel while some things at home got fixed, but power's back on and the Wi-Fi's back, and the island is still recovering, and it will be recovering for a while. It's really sad. I live on the side of the island that got hit probably the least, but it was still, the wind was insane. I live up kind of in about 1,000 feet of elevation, and the wind was just funneling down those volcanoes, down the mountains. And it was terrifying to be in the dark with no power for a couple days. So we are back though, and that's all that matters. And I know that there's probably going to be more situations like that in the future, but what are you going to do? Enough about that. Welcome to Isla Natura. This is a park that I built, or have been building, I guess, over the last last month, I would say, equaling about like 13 hours of playtime, but I've been building it for about the last month or so. It's just kind of a side project, something to do on my weekends. But yeah, I decided why not build the Deinosuchus habitat in this park. So the first thing that we're going to do is remove the occupants that were there before, which were some Taurosauruses. Taurosaurii? I don't know how to say that scientifically accurate. But I had actually moved a lot of these guys to one of the other habitats that has just a more diversity of herbivores, which is right here. This is kind of the largest habitat in the park, I think, which you can see there's a lot of different species there. And the idea for that was just kind of literally just came out of nowhere in my head, where I thought it would be really cool if the background of like a lagoon, you know, where people sit and watch the show, if you will, was actually like actual habitat. So that's kind of where I got the idea for this park. It literally just came out of nowhere. Actually, as I was making it, I started with the main entrance right there that you see, with the different looking innovation center and the little bit of the different looking main street. And I was like, what can I build from here? So then I made the Gentle Giants petting zoo and the aviary, and then everything really just took off from there. And then I found the VFX props mod, which is on Nexus, and it still works with the latest version of the game. And when I saw that there was, you know, those VFX effects of like the mist and the waterfalls that you can see in some of the maps that Frontier made off in the distance, you know, those really cool cascading waterfall effects, I was like, I have to make something with that. And so that's kind of what I then added into it to make it a little bit more dramatic. And I think it did a pretty good job. So yeah, but that's not what this video is about necessarily. This is about adding Deinosuchus into our park here. So I'm gonna start off by adding some cool looking fences, some different fences than I typically would add into my park, because I'm trying to be a little bit more novel, I guess you could say, in what I'm doing here. So yes, Deinosuchus is in the game. I know everybody is so excited for it. I was definitely excited for it too, and I think Frontier did amazing justice in its animations, and the fact that it can do its death roll is really, really cool. Yeah, I think it's a great, addition to the game. And it's definitely been a long time coming. I feel like we've been asking for it since the first game, of course, so it is really cool to see. But here I'm just trying to figure out if I wanted to add natural rock walls or just keep the fencing in place. I decided to go with rocks because I'm just a huge fan of rocks, as we all know. Incorporating rocks into the environment or rocks into the structure of the habitat is just, I don't know, it's just so much fun and looks natural. Of course, adding some deep water because these guys need to have some deep water to swim in. And then I don't typically add like props to it, but I'm like, why not? It's kind of fun to put in some more workshop items. These are all workshop items that you can get, and making things look a little bit more swampy, trying to add a little bit more flair to everything, which is always fun. Trying to figure out exactly what I want to do here. I ended up just making some of the really swampy foliage off in the background. I feel like every Deinosuchus habitat needs fallen logs just because it adds to the swampy feel. That's just me. I don't know if you guys saw those two people that were just hanging out on those chairs, but they were about to get eaten, so I had to remove them from the situation at large. I felt like, adding a log viewing gallery was the right move to make it more of the swampy feel, and that way, I guess I didn't really test it out, but I don't know if the Deinosuchuses can walk underneath it. I don't know if anything can walk underneath it. I guess I haven't paid too much attention. I don't think anything can, but it'd be cool if they did. Adding some more rocks, because rocks make the world go around. Checking in some of my other dinos. So there's going to be a little bit of cleaning up as I go about, trying to make the park stay sustainable. As dinosaurs get old and die, clearing them about. So you're going to see a little bit of that in this too. Kind of deciding here what kind of trees I want to put down to add to kind of the swampy vibe that I'm going for. And of course you got to put some barren trees down to make the aesthetic as pleasing as possible. So this is kind of where I decide to mess around a little bit with the VFX props mod. Now, I don't necessarily love what I did here. I think it was just me experimenting with it over anything else. Just trying to see if I can make this part even look better. But it is awesome to have all these different tools in game. It would be nice to have them as like an officially supported feature, you know, that's added in an update or something. At least just a couple things. I feel like we don't have a lot of VFX in the game right now that we can use to our advantage to make our parks look more realistic. Kind of like Planet Zoo or Planet Coaster has all those different VFX things that you can add to your parks. So I thought this was kind of cool. Adds a little bit of flair to things, make things look a little bit more realistic, like a rushing waterfall. One thing that I do really, you know, wish was a thing with this new update and this new DLC with the crocodiles is just maybe some deeper, you know, water features. So the dinosaurs that can swim, especially some of the ones that can dive, that probably could dive, or could sink to the bottom of the ocean floor, or the sea floor, or the river floor, and wait out fish or wait out predators. It'd be really, really cool to see that, especially with the Deinosuchus, because it spends so much time in the water versus on land, and diving was a big part of that. And I knew that it wasn't going to be added at all, but I just thought it would be a cool feature to, you know, to think about, you know, to add a little bit more realism to the current selection of dinosaurs that we have, especially the ones that are able to use the water. And I'm thinking more along the lines of like Spinosaurus and Baryonyx and Suchomimus, those dinosaurs that have a lot more, or spend a lot more time in the water, I should say. Of course, I love the ability to be able to add like mist and fog effects and stuff like that. That should definitely be something that is given to us in an update, just like a placeable thing. Because I know that, you know, using one of the brushes makes things foggy, but you don't necessarily always want it to be the case, where you have to just, you know, use that same brush every single time. Or you could just make it a brush, honestly. Make it a mist brush where you can just draw it over things. That'd be kind of cool. Here I was just seeing what these were. There's like little insects that you can place in your environment. Falling leaves and stuff. Didn't seem like they were working too well. As you can see, they kind of go all over the place there and seem like they're not really necessarily working, but I was like, why not just plop a couple things down? Why not? It isn't gonna work too well, but who cares? So just doing a little bit of an overview of how it looks in the grand scheme of the park. Yeah, as I said, I was doing a little bit of cleaning up here, healing some dinos that got into fights with each other. When I make my sandbox parks, I like to keep everything as realistic as possible, I guess, besides some of the dino comfort, like pre-settings. I like to turn off, you know, those comfort settings, leave everything else on, so like leave on, you know, aggression, and herbivores able to initiate the fights and all that kind of stuff, and see what happens. So we're about to add our first Deinosuchuses into our exhibit here. it would be really cool in the future if we could make like underwater viewing. I know that's asking for a lot, but just saying how it's possible in other Frontier games. I mean, it could be in this engine. I'm not sure, but yeah, that'd be awesome to be able to make like a Deinosuchus, but have it have underwater viewing, kind of like a a zoo aquarium that you see today. It'd be really cool. Just putting some finishing touches on the outside of the habitat, trying to make it as, I guess, thematic as possible without being too much, because I don't really know what I'm doing half the time that I'm making these parks. I'm just kind of doing what I think would be right, and I feel like I always end up with a good result in a way, like whether or not I make it as perfect as possible. I always like the result that I have come up with. And I've only made 2 parks in this game so far. This is my second one. The first one was featured a while ago, but it's the one with the giant space needle. I don't know if you've seen that one before, but yeah, that one is really cool. I like building that one. This one I would say is probably my favorite one now so far, just because of all the different things that are involved in it. And with the fact that we've gotten, 2 pretty massive updates this summer has been really nice. Really, really nice and really fun. Especially after waiting for so long. I feel like I would be more inclined to add things to a habitat to make it more diverse and unique if those things actually worked. And what I mean by that is like for example, elevated walkways. If elevated walkways in the game, which you can make with the current scenery, pieces that you have, but the guests don't use them. I mean, you can put benches down and the guests will sit on the benches, and it kind of gives the impression or the vibe that the guests are using those spaces, but they're not actually walking back and forth. And I know that sounds like a really just weird, pet peeve of the game, but it's very true. Very, a natural flowing ecosystem of guests would definitely walk on an elevated walkway to get a better view of the environment, which I think would be perfect for this Deinosuchus environment, where I could just, make an elevated walkway over the water or something for guests to look down and see them as they swim around. From an overhead view. That would be really cool. But, we're still limited on the attractions that we have. I feel like, why are you saying that? We've gotten so many attractions in the game. Yes, we have, but we've been asking for the balloon tour for the river cruise attraction since the first game. So, while they have, of course, added things that we've been desperately wanting, we have yet to see anything that would kind of spark our imaginations a little bit. It'd be cool if they added some new things to the game in terms of attractions. Can't believe I'm still saying that even after all this time, but I feel like it's the truth.
Asset delivered.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are pleased to welcome Deinosuchus to the park.
Just wanted to check out the habitat in the daytime so that you can kind of see everything. But also realize that I got a major overcrowding issue in the park, so I'm gonna go ahead and make some of these paths a little bit wider for the guests to be able to get around better, so that they're not barking at me so much in the notifications. But it does, you know, make the flow of everything better. So the park is kind of divided into sections. There's kind of like a more naturalistic side where you see the river cruise and the Jurassic tour and all that stuff, and herbivores and things like that. And then there's more of like a show side where you have a Packy arena, and you have the T-Rex amphitheater, and the raptor pen is in a certain fashion. Like, it's kind of a mix of everything, kind of everything from the movies and everything that sounds fun in my brain as I'm creating it. It's definitely things that I will use to try and make my environments and my parks as unique as possible, because I don't consider myself a great designer, or I use a lot of blueprints. You know, I make a lot of the habitats myself, actually all of them myself, but adding blueprints that other amazing people have made is definitely something that I do, and I will always do that. Looks like we got a new arrival to the park already. Let's check in on them. Now, it would be so cool to see these guys being transported in their mom's mouths around the environment. You know what I mean? Like, how cool would that be? They're just walking up in there. But, of course, you know, in classic Jurassic World Evolution 3 fashion, we got a kind of, you know, 30% sized baby Deinosuchus. But it is made very well, and I like how it has a lot of, you know, similarities to modern day crocodiles, especially the design of the younger one. I feel like that looks really cool. I mean, they all look really cool, but it's nice to have a baby. Well, thank you all so much for watching this video and hanging out. It's been an absolute blast. Let me know if you want to see me keep adding to this park. I'm definitely not opposed to deleting things that I've already made and putting new things in. If you all have any ideas or things that you want to see, let me know. But yeah, it's been an absolute blast. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you all for being here.